Okay, so there are these two microeconomic concepts that sound practically identical when you're just chatting about them, but man, they look and behave completely differently on a graph. I'm talking about variations in supply versus changes in supply. Now, it is so easy to get these textbook terms totally tangled up, but by visually breaking them apart, the mechanics of how markets actually move become crystal clear. Let's dive right in.
All right, let's set up a visual dictionary split that is literally the ultimate cheat code for this entire explainer. We're going to base this on what we can call the rule of one. When a supply curve experiences a variation, that's on the left side, there is only one single culprit, just one, and that's the price tag. But over on the right side, when there's a change in supply, the price is totally frozen. It doesn't move at all. Instead, the shift is caused by completely different external factors. This little split right here, this is our roadmap for everything we're about to cover.
So just to quickly establish our baseline, we have to talk about the law of supply. This was introduced way back in 1890 by Alfred Marshall, and honestly, it's incredibly intuitive. Basically, assuming all other factors remain completely constant, the higher the price a seller can get, the more quantity they're willing to put out there on the market. It's a very straightforward, direct, positive relationship.
And on paper, that baseline is drawn as an unchanging, upward-sloping supply curve. Notice how, as the price climbs up that vertical y-axis, say from 10 to 50 rupees, the volume being supplied just expands right along with it on the x-axis, moving from 100 up to 500 units. It really is a beautifully simple relationship.
Okay, so tackling the first half of our visual dictionary, variations in supply. Honestly, it helps to picture that original curve, not just as a line drawn on paper, but as a solid, physical roller coaster track. The track itself is firmly bolted to the ground, right? It cannot be moved, it cannot be rebuilt. Variations in supply mean you are simply riding this exact existing track. The outside environment hasn't changed at all. Literally, only the price of the good is fluctuating.
Because we're confined to this fixed track, there are only two possible directions to go. First, you have an expansion of supply, where a climbing price pulls the volume right up with it. And then you have a contraction, which happens when the price drops, causing that volume to shrink back down. True to our rule of one, these movements are 100% dictated by the price tag, while absolutely everything else in the world stays constant.
So, the crucial point is how this looks in motion. Picture a bright red dot sitting at the bottom left of our curve, right at that 10 rupee mark. If the market price jumps up to 50, that red dot physically travels upward, riding along the exact same track. No new lines are being drawn here. The graph itself hasn't shifted an inch. It's an expansion moving up from left to right strictly because the price increased.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the exact reverse scenario, because it highlights just how rigid this track is. If the market price drops from 50 back down to 10, it drags our red dot right back down that unchanging track. The quantity supplied just shrinks, sliding downwards and to the left. The curve itself didn't even flinch. The variation is literally just the movement of the quantity supplied, riding along the curve in response to the price.
But hold on. What happens if the price stops moving altogether? Imagine the y-axis just freezing completely solid. The price is locked in place. Leaving the world of variations behind, if the price isn't pushing or pulling anymore, any shift in the quantity supplied must be coming from somewhere else entirely.
And that welcomes us to the second half of our visual dictionary, changes in supply. If variations are just riding a fixed track, well, a change is basically an economic earthquake. It's a massive environmental shift where the entire track gets ripped up and relocated by external forces. With the price totally locked, the volume expands or contracts simply because the producer's real-world conditions have fundamentally changed.
Let's see how this builds. Economists actually call the heavy lifters causing this earthquake the determinants of supply. We're talking about ground-level realities here. Sweeping technological upgrades, the raw cost of production, completely unpredictable natural conditions, infrastructure, or, of course, government policies. And let's be real, nothing motivates a market quite like government taxes. These forces physically move the entire market, even if the price of the actual good refuses to budge.
Because these external factors are just so incredibly powerful, they don't just push a dot along a line anymore, they draw an entirely new one. An increase in supply means the original curve, we'll call it SS, literally jumps completely to the right, creating a brand new curve, S1, S1. A decrease means that entire SS curve is dragged completely to the left, becoming S2, S2. We are no longer riding the line, folks. A brand new economic reality has just been created.
So what actually triggers that massive shift to the right from SS to S1, S1? Well, it happens when those external determinants turn highly favorable. Imagine a crazy robotic breakthrough that makes manufacturing twice as fast, or maybe a sudden drop in input costs like lumber, or even a wildly favorable monsoon season for crops. Even though the price tag on the shelf hasn't changed by a single penny, these amazing conditions allow producers to flood the market, shifting the whole line cleanly to the right.
On the flip side, a decrease in supply drags that entire track completely to the left, creating our S2-S2 curve. This occurs when external factors turn hostile. Think unexpected natural disasters wiping out crops, heavy new taxes just eating into operational funds, outdated tech, or surging prices for factors of production like, say, a sudden worker strike demanding higher wages. The consumer price might be completely frozen, but these brutal conditions force producers to supply significantly less, shifting that curve leftward. All right, to wrap this explainer up, let's put this visual dictionary to the test with a real-world scenario. If a brand new robotic harvester is suddenly invented, making farming incredibly cheap and fast, does the market supply of wheat vary, or does it change? Think back to the rule of one. Did the price on the shelf move, or did an external factor alter the landscape? Are you just riding the line, or are you shifting the entire track? I'll leave you to apply your new framework to that one.